I find my best ideas come when I'm nowhere near my desk. So I don't think we should ever sort of sit down with the intention to create when we don't already have a spark of an idea or like a seed of inspiration that's already kind of marinating. I feel like, well, so I don't know if either of you are familiar with human design. Nod or shake your head if you're not. No, okay. So my human design, for those of you that are, I'm a manifesting generator and I have an open head space. And what that basically means, Monica, is that I get like flurries of downloads and messages and ideas and inspiration, like to the point where sometimes it keeps me awake at night, but then I can have nothing. So when you have a defined head center, that's different. You can kind of like tap back into things more easily, but I can literally just be like, nada, there's nothing there. And so I can't force creative messaging to flow from that space, right? I can't sit in my computer and be like, well, I've scheduled 2 hours to batch content, so let's make it happen, you know? So I find that it really is important to have that flexibility and that balance. Like when I'm feeling really called to create, how can I clear as much space as possible and download that there and then? And when I am having downloads, what is my system to capture the essence of those thoughts and ideas? So a couple of things that I've used in the past, because I write all my brilliant ideas in a notebook and I forget which notebook it was in. So I use my iPhone notes, and I have created a private Telegram channel. So Telegram is just a messenger app. It's similar to like a Voxer or a WhatsApp. And I've just created a private one where it's literally just me typing notes to myself. And then I can just scroll up and be like, what was that? Oh yeah, that was the idea. And so I'll just literally put bullet points, sometimes a voice memo, but I'm usually too lazy to listen back to my own voice. So whatever works for you. Like I have clients who, exactly, Chris, I have clients who will like go and walk their dog, and that's where they get all their best ideas. So they'll literally voice memo into their phone to themselves, and they'll just use a voice recorder app on their phone, and they'll walk around the park with their dog and be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then they come back and they use that for their next podcast episode or whatever. So that's gold. So having a system to capture ideas when you can't physically execute them, because you might be at the shops and be like, damn, that's a good idea for a post, but I'm nowhere near my computer. And then by the time we get to our computer the next time, I'm like, what was that idea? At least for me. So I now know that I can't rely on myself to remember. Like I might have the vague overarching thought, but I often lose the potency of really what that really strong, powerful message was at that moment and what it was kind of stirring in me. So having a way, and also because I'm part-time, right? So I might be with my toddler and be like, oh, that's such a good idea for a reel, or such a good idea for a live video. So I just have a quick way of being able to capture it, and then I can, you know, be present with her and move on. So that's important. When I'm feeling like I want to tap into like my creative juices and flow, I take myself out of my office. So for me, it's always walks in nature. Yeah, exactly, Monica, because you're not, I feel like these moments we're actually just tuned into ourselves and we can be more present. Like in the shower, it's not that you haven't got distractions, right? You're with yourself, and that's when ideas will come. It's like when we're about to nod off in bed, that's always when our great ideas come, because we haven't got distractions. And for me personally, it's always, I'm looking out the window at my jacaranda tree. But I always love going into nature, and that's always where I get clarity, I get confirmation on my decision making, and I get creative ideas. Another amazing source for me is being in calls like this. So, you know, off the back of, this is something I've been recommending lately to my clients to do more and more, is when you've had a one-on-one call or a group call or a breathwork session or whatever it is you're doing, there will no doubt have been like inspiring shifts or thoughts or ideas or reminders, you know, that can equally be the spark of an idea for a piece of content. So get in the habit as well of, after you've done a session of any kind, whether you're receiving it or delivering it, mark out in your diary 10 minutes of space to actually capture what are my key thoughts, takeaways, confirmations, reminders, refreshers, ideas that came up. Because I don't know about you, but when I'm in a group call, I get like a billion. I'm like, oh, and then, you know, when people ask questions, it reminds you of the types of questions that your audience have, right? Or they're struggling with a particular technique of some, like, let's just take breathwork as an example. And they're like, oh, I don't really know how to, brilliant. That is a brilliant thing to know that people are struggling with, that I can use as, again, the seed of an idea and a content. Like, answering your audience's questions is the most powerful content you can create to make you relevant and relatable. And it means you're not having to kind of search for ideas all the time. It's just, well, what are my audience saying? What are they asking for? What are the mistakes they're making? Why is it feeling hard to stick to something? And what do I have to say about that that could really provide value? So there's some initial thoughts. Definitely, it's kind of 10 minutes post a call. And if it is your own call that you've delivered, and you have that moment where you're like, oh, this is such a powerful part of the conversation, try and notice what the time is so you can timestamp that for yourself. Go back, and you might even be able to take a little video clip or snippet of that moment that really showcases to your wider audience the behind the scenes of you in action. You know, this is gold for Instagram, because the maximum you can share anyway is 90 seconds. So you're not giving away the farm to your wider audience, but you're really giving them a taster of, you know, the energy in that moment, or the power in that moment. And if you've got permission to have a back, you know, the clip of you and your client going back and forth, it helps, again, see you as the mentor, as the coach, as the speaker. And that's brilliant content as well.
Amazing.
My initial response to that.
So good.
Yeah, but I would say to you, Claudia, like, I feel like, you know, there's what's in our head and there's what's in our hearts. And I think it's important to have the balance and blend of both in our content. Like, there is the rational, logical answers that people need, but there's also what are they feeling at this moment in time? And how can you tune into and acknowledge those feelings so that they, you know, more strongly connect to you, develop more rapport with you, like, she gets it. You know, Monica understands exactly what's in my head right now. And the way that you connect to that source of creativity and inspiration, you know, ultimately to source itself, is through your body. So you, more than anyone, I imagine, Claudia, have many practices already where you're connecting to your body. And when we kind of quieten the busyness of the thought processes in our head, and we're not scrolling on our phones, we're not even listening to music or watching TV, we're actually just in our bodies, that stillness is often where the most powerful creative downloads come. You know, I find like the clarity comes in the stillness and the silence, not the noise.